We all want to be happy, right? But what exactly is happiness? Is it pleasure? Is it money? Maybe fame? Over 2000 years ago, Aristotle tackled this question head-on. And the answer, which we can find in his first book of his work, the Nicomachean Ethics, is surprisingly different from what we are used to. Aristotle starts with a simple observation. Everything we do, every art, every inquiry, every action and choice is aimed at some good. Think about it. A doctor aims at health, a shipbuilder at a ship, and a military general aims at victory. But he points out that there is a hierarchy here. Some things we do for their own sake, while others are just means to an end. We build ships for transport or war, which serves a larger purpose, perhaps victory or wealth. And if this chain of doing something for the sake of getting something else kept going on forever, Aristotle says that our desires would be empty and pointless. Luckily, this seems not to be the case, because he tells us that there is an ultimate good to be found. Something we desire purely for its own sake, and for the sake of which we desire everything else. Aristotle calls this the highest good. Interestingly, both the common person and the refined agree on what this is, namely happiness. But while we agree on the word happiness, we don't really agree on what it means. And that's where Aristotle's real argument begins. The many, that is the average folks, often point to the things that are obvious and superficial, like pleasure, wealth, or honor. But Aristotle quickly dismisses these as candidates for a real happiness. Pleasure can be fleeting, and he says pursuing only pleasure seems fit for fatted cattle. It's a bit rough, but he has a point, because if we define happiness merely as pleasure, we reduce human life to the life of animals, specifically of animals that live only for physical gratification. It can't be that simple, right? So we move on to wealth. Here he says that this is clearly just a useful thing, and for the sake of something else. Like we talked about earlier, right? Nobody wants wealth just to look at it. They want it for what it can buy or what it can do. So the ultimate good, that is happiness, cannot be wealth. Finally, he discusses if honor might be what we mean by happiness. Now this is a bit closer, often sought by the refined, but it still has problems. It's superficial. Honor, he argues, depends more on those who give it than on the person who receives it. And for Aristotle, the true good should be something of one's own, and a thing not easily taken away. Another important thing about honor is that many seek it not for its own sake, right? But to be reassured that they are good. That is, that they are virtuous. And if that's the real motivation, then virtue, not honor, seems to be what is closer to the ultimate good. That is, to happiness. So, if it's not pleasure, not wealth, not honor, what is this happiness, this ultimate good, to which we do everything else for? To understand that, Aristotle says we need to understand the unique function, the ergon, of a human being. Just as a flutist has a function to play the flute, or a carpenter has a function to build, Aristotle asks, does the human being in general have a distinctive function? He argues that we do. It's not mere life, because plants are alive, and since we are looking for our distinct function, we can't share it with anything else, in this case plants. It's not sensation either. Animals can perceive and feel. So what remains, and what is uniquely human then, is reason. Our capacity to think, to deliberate, and act in accordance with rational principles. Just as a good flutist plays the flute well, not just plays, but plays excellently, the good human being performs their rational activity well. That doing it well is what Aristotle means by virtue. The excellence that allows a thing to fulfill its function properly. From this then, he arrives at his famous definition of happiness. Happiness is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. And if there are many virtues, then happiness consists in activity in accordance with the highest and most complete of them. But Aristotle adds two crucial qualifications to his account of happiness. First, virtuous activity must be sustained over a complete life. One good today or even a few isn't enough. Just as one swallow does not make a spring, human life is full of change, reversals and uncertainty. A person may flourish for many years, like the legendary King Priam of Troy, only to be struck by great misfortune in old age. For this reason, Aristotle cautions that we can't truly judge someone's happiness until their life is complete. So what matters is not just having virtue, but maintaining virtuous activity through changing circumstances. Secondly, while happiness is rooted in the soul's activity in accordance with virtue, it manifestly requires external goods in addition. Certain conditions like having friends, family, health, and sufficient resources support and enable that fundamental activity. These external goods are not happiness themselves, right? But they act as co-workers or instrumental aids, if you will. They allow the person to carry out virtuous actions more fully. And in cases of extreme misfortunes where these supports are stripped away, it may actually become difficult or even impossible to sustain that activity. We are human beings, embedded in a material and social world. In that world, external goods play a vital, though secondary, role in human flourishing. For Aristotle, in Book 1, happiness is not a feeling, a possession or a reputation. It is an activity. Specifically the activity of your soul in accordance with your highest potential, your virtue or excellence as a human being. This activity needs to take place over the course of a complete life, and while it's the core, it's certainly helped along by having necessary external goods. It's a dynamic, active way of living, focusing on doing things well, particularly the things that are uniquely human and noble. This is just the starting point for Aristotle. Much of the rest of the Nicomachean ethics is dedicated to exploring what these virtues are and how to develop them. But understanding this fundamental definition, that happiness is an activity, an excellent way of being and doing, is key to grasping his entire ethical system. So, what do you think of Aristotle's definition? Does it resonate with you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more philosophy content, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.